Hello and welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. My name is Eleanor and I am a British American oboist studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, literally my dream school. And it took me a long way to get there. I applied and auditioned for 12 schools in 3 different countries. It was a lot of hard work, but oh my gosh, so worth it. I want you to have the confidence to work hard in achieving your goals. So come with me as we go on this journey together. So sit down, pull up a chair, take a seat, or if you're on the go, welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. During my first year at music school, I had 2 midterm technical exams. One that I failed, and then one a few months later that was my Resit that I passed, which I'm very excited about. I have recently passed it, so it's still very exciting. And after the Resit exam, I realized something that honestly surprised me. I felt energized. I literally that day I was talking with a friend and I was saying I am so excited for the summer. I cannot wait to because I have some ideas about the podcast and also some other things that I am very excited to share with you guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas, I just felt so creative. I felt so inspired and excited. And I just felt energized. And I was like, how could I be energized after an exam? You know what I mean? A very, very important exam, one that I really needed to pass. And don't get me wrong, I was also tired, but I was still energized. And I realized that the reason why I was energized was because I took the Resit exam with a whole different approach than I did the original exam. And I am so grateful that I was able to do that. And so today I am hoping to kind of just compare and contrast these 2 exams because I approached them in so different ways, such different ways. And I think it's important to just take a step back and to look at it and to see, because I think it's so easy to do what I did in the first exam. So easy. And the second way that I did the exam in the Resit was honestly more stressful because I wasn't sure if it was going to properly work, but I trusted the process and it worked. So let's dive into exam 1 versus exam 2, what I did differently and how it worked and versus how it didn't work. Okay. So, exam 1. Exam 1 was at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be a bit vulnerable. I was struggling mentally. I was in a bit of a low mentally, and I didn't listen to myself when I knew that I had to take a break, when I knew that I had to be kinder to myself, because if I took a break, I would realize just how much I'm struggling mentally. So what did I do? I distracted myself with practicing. And so I just locked myself up into a practice room and just went at practicing. And I was really solid practicing. I knew my extracts. I knew the stuff. But I didn't actually take care of myself and what I needed at the time. So I ended up not being prepared in myself. I took care of the oboe. I did not take care of the oboist. And so when I actually got to the exam, the oboist was not ready. The oboist was burnt out, was tired, was not able to give a good exam to the best of her abilities. And so during that exam, I honestly forgot everything. Not everything, but especially there was one specific part of the exam that it went whoosh over my head, and I just completely forgot things. And it honestly took me as on such a surprise and such a shock. I was so surprised. I was I thought I was ready. But the thing is, when I thought I was ready, it was because the oboe was ready, right? But the oboist was not ready. I did not take care of myself. I remember the day before that exam, I did a mock-ish exam with friends. And that was great. But looking back on it, I have a feeling that I probably should have done that mock exam a bit earlier, and kind of tapered off my practice so I could rest. I think after that mock exam I went home and I kept practicing. Like, honestly, like, I just kind of kept going and going and going until it was actually time, and then when it was actually time, I had nothing else left to give. And so after that exam, I was drained. It's interesting, I think I knew that I failed, which is the most icky, yucky feeling you could feel, honestly, with this. I because I, put a lot of my Olo life on the internet, I filmed myself after my exam, and you can just tell by my facial expressions, like, I knew that I did not do well. I knew that I failed. I knew that this wasn't, good enough. I just knew it. You could see it in my face, which is so heartbreaking, honestly. And after that exam, I was so drained. I had no desire to do anything, honestly, anything. And when I got the news about my exam, I just was devastated. I was just devastated, honestly. I actually got a migraine that night because I was just so, I think my body was so not taken care of, right? I didn't take care of my mental health at all. And so, when it got that news, it was like, it felt like it needed to kind of, shut down almost. So it gave me a migraine. So then I had to sleep, you know what I mean? So it was kind of really stressed out. Yeah, which I don't recommend. I'm telling you, I really don't recommend it. I think for us, especially as musicians, there is kind of a sense of safety in the practice room. If I practice enough, if I keep practicing, then I'm gonna be okay. But in actuality, I wasn't okay. I just neglected my needs. So that's exam 1. Let's move on to exam 2. Exam 2 was completely different. And I did a few things. And I think I want to break down these things in other episodes. So episodes coming up, I'm planning on breaking down these specific things because there's so much that I did. But the first advantage I feel was that I already knew the rep. I already knew the repertoire. I just kind of got it back out and polished it off. And so that was good. But I practiced it in a different way as well. I think there was a lot less stress in the practice session. I think that is something that's really helpful. I had a friend tell me, maybe don't put so much stress on your practice. Just practice. Don't put so much pressure on your practice in every session, because every session's different. And if you put pressure on every session, then that's not going to help. I remember literally a few days before my exam, I had a really bad run through, and I was in a better place mentally. So I was like, you know what, that's really great. We got the bad run through out, and now we can just focus on the good ones. But yeah, don't not putting as much pressure on every single thing to be okay, because practice in its nature is not supposed to be perfect. That's why it's called practice. Yeah. So that's kind of how I prepared. And then the week before, the most important thing was my mental health. Honestly, the most important thing was my mental health. In terms of content and stuff, I kind of had things planned, so I didn't necessarily have to work myself a lot. I went for walks, I took time off, I did hobbies, I hung out with friends, I focused on staying in the moment as well. And I think that was really helpful. I had kind of a plan with my teacher where we took the few days before the exam and really kind of planned out what I was going to do. Whether I was going to do run-throughs, whether I was going to focus on specific parts of what I needed to do, whether maybe I wasn't going to play much at all. And that was really helpful. And it was really interesting as well, because 2 days before my exam, I realized the plan that my teacher and I came up with wasn't actually going to be good. He wanted me to do something the day before that, honestly, I was like, if I do that the day before, it's going to be too much. And so I texted him and I was like, actually, can we change the plan? And he was like, yes, totally. If you feel like you need to change the plan, change the plan. It is your plan, listen to yourself, be kind to yourself. That is so, so, so important. Um, I think as well, I spoke like with other students as well. I mean, I put it on the internet. That was a big thing that I did. I put the fact that I failed on the internet, and I got so many amazing messages. I felt so supported by you guys. Like honestly, every single one of you who sent me an amazing message or just a message. Like I think they're all amazing. Honestly, I am so grateful. So grateful. It's really amazing. Yeah, they were so amazing. And I felt more supported, like my friends, in real, like in my life at the conservatoire. I like they were so helpful as well. I had friends who would like help me with run throughs and things like that, which was like so amazing. I'm so grateful. Honestly, so grateful. um and that support was so important to me. And then before the exam, I did something called visualization, which I think I just did an episode on. So if you want to see that episode, I'll put it in the description in the show notes. And basically how to do visualization. It is so helpful. Basically, you visualize you doing well, it going well, how you feel about it, right? You visualize how you want to feel about it, and that can really help you, feel good about it when it actually happens. And I did that a lot. I did a lot of visualization. I did a mock exam in the actual room. That was like 2 weeks before. That was really, really helpful as well. And then because I took care of myself, because I took care of my mental health, I was able to see this exam as something for what it was. It was just 15 to 20 minutes of me in a room playing for people, and showing them how far I've grown. And that was so important to me. And so that's what I did. And oh my gosh, it was so much better. And afterwards, I was so excited. I was so excited because I knew, obviously you don't know if you pass or fail in the moment, but I knew that I did the best that I could, and I was so proud of that. And so I was able to see that and to do that, and I was so energized and excited. And now I feel like, okay, I can do this. I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel burnt out. Woo! It's so exciting. And so that's really important. I think when we do our exams, when we do our auditions, trusting in the process, because sometimes the process is a bit stressful. We're like, oh, will that actually work? Will that be okay? If we trust in it, even if it doesn't feel like as like safe-ish, what I mean? Like when we think of practicing, especially in the first time around, I was like, okay, I feel nervous about this exam, so I'm just gonna practice. That didn't help me. When I was the second time around, I was like, okay, I feel nervous about this exam. I'm going to meditate, I'm going to visualize, I'm going to chat with a friend and go for a walk, and yes, I'm going to do my oboe practice today, but that oboe practice is not going to be full of stress. It's going to be full of excitement and fun, because I have already dealt with the feelings of nerves. So, and then of course, like the nerves were always kind of there, but like being okay with them, being like, okay, nerves are normal. So yeah. The first exam, I put the oboe first, not the oboist, and the second, I put the oboist first. And that was, the result was I was not even close to burnt out the second time. I wasn't burnt out at all, really. Like, yeah, it was really good. I'm really grateful for that. So I think when we go and do our exams and our auditions, like, it is so important to look at it with gentleness and with kindness. And I hope that this episode helps you in whatever you're working towards to realize that, gentleness, kindness, softness is the way forward, honestly, because what's the most important part of this whole thing? The musician. And so we need to take care of ourselves. And honestly, I feel like in my next practice or in my next audition and exams, I'll probably listen to this episode, not gonna lie. That was one of the other things. The second time around, I listened to some episodes of this podcast because it helped me as well. So anyway, yeah. One of the things, just to like touch on this because it was really helpful, one of the things that have helped me in my practice, and to also know that I have finished practicing so that I can go do fun things, is planning my practice. And one of the ways that I plan my practice is with a notable practice journal. As like this notable practice journal has been so helpful for me in not only planning my practice but also looking back and reflecting. There are reflection questions so that we can, or that, you know, we can like know what worked and what didn't work and continue to grow. And yeah, so this journal has been really helpful for me. And as soon as I realized that it has been helpful, I knew that I needed to give you a code and tell you about it. So use code Eleanor15 for 15% off your journal. That is ELEANOR15 for 15% off your journal. And go get yourself a notable practice journal and plan those practice sessions. It can be so helpful when getting a good, effective session. The link is in the description in the show notes, so make sure you go check that out and use the code. You know me, I do not recommend anything that I don't absolutely love. This code is an affiliate code, so I do receive a commission with no extra cost to you. All right. I feel like usually I do a recap, but I'm not sure how to recap this. Exam 1, I was struggling mentally, so I distracted myself with practicing. I focused on the oboe rather than the oboist. I, just kind of bulldozered it through. So then when I got there, I was burnt out, and then I was burnt out after. Not ideal. The second time, I learned from my mistakes. I did visualization. I did meditation. I focused on what I needed. I tapered off my practice before the exam. I talked to my teacher about this because I feel like everyone's different. Some people might want to taper their practice off before the exam. Other people, maybe it's more effective not to. So I talked to my teacher. And yeah, I did an exam that was full of joy, and I'm so proud of myself for it, honestly. And I am sending you the biggest, just, I don't know what's the word, the biggest gift of encouragement. There we go. The biggest gift of encouragement of whatever you are doing in your musical journey, whether that's exams, auditions, performances, even just difficult practice sessions. I'm sending all of this encouragement to you, and I hope that you have, the next practice session of joy and courage, and yeah. Oh. If you enjoyed this episode, please do give it a like, a share, a subscribe, a comment, a follow, whatever it is. Share it with all of your musical friends. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. All right, take care. Bye-bye.